Hi, bud. How you doing, buddy?
Brian wants to go live too.
Oh,
Hi guys, it's Emily with EmilyReynolds.net, and I have a fellow health coach and very good friend, Keri, to give a little bit of background, like your story. Actually, how we met was your story, and your story is
yeah,
so incredible to me. I want you to tell people about it.
yeah, absolutely. So my name is Keri Baker Meredith, and I am a health coach. I spent my entire life overweight. I was a chubby child. I was teased as a kid. I went to college and gained more weight. And when I came out of college, I made a decision one day, just I'm going to change my life. I don't want to go down the same path that I see other people in my, circle go down. And I just took charge. I learned how to eat clean. That was back when, like, remember Oxygen magazine and Eat Clean diet was everywhere. I did that, and I was able to get the weight off over like a year and a half. And it changed my life a lot because it kind of opened my eyes to, oh my gosh, you can do like amazing things. So I had gone to college and got a bachelor's in business and a bachelor's in psychology. So like the whole mental aspect of like humans and the things that we can do was really fascinating to me.
You and I talk about this all the time. That's a big thing we connect on too, that people don't understand the psychology behind weight loss, health, overcoming chronic illness. It's the biggest.
Literally. Yeah. Completely. And so actually I was working on a software sales job, and I went back to grad school. I got my master's in exercise science, and I met my husband 10 years ago, and he owned a gym. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be. I love fitness. And I ended up just changing my career and started to work with people at our studio. And we owned the gym for 10 years. We were catered to really busy people who just had no time for anything. A lot of people that worked at Microsoft and Google and Amazon. And so our whole MO was like short, sweet, effective. And we found over the years that the people that were too busy to come to us, that moved on but still worked with us on lifestyle and stress management and on nutrition, got way better results than the people that came into our gym. So like for real, like better weight loss results. They were healthier, happier. So we made it a hard decision a couple of years ago, like the year before COVID hit. We shut our gym down and moved out to the country and took our business online.
Hashtag goals.
Yeah, so now we work with people online. I do work full-time for the company Noom. They are a largely psychology-based weight loss app. And a lot of my personal clients, I more work with like detoxing and allergies and gut health and just overall health and wellness. So that's what I do.
You are so your t-shirt. You radiate such positivity, and that's what people need in order to feel safe, because a lot of people, when they come to somebody with their weight loss problems or their health issues, you're so vulnerable. And I think vulnerability is kind of something that we're going to talk about a little bit today, because I think the past, what are we now, a year and a half into this worldwide crisis? But we would call it a different kind of crisis than the news would. A lot of people have been very vulnerable because life has been turned upside down. People's routines, a lot of people are losing their health, losing their mind, losing family members. And like I said earlier, we're not going to just talk about the problem. We're going to talk about solutions, because it's hit everybody. It's hit you, it's hit me. It's hit people who are the most positive, the most energetic, have the best lifestyle and the best routines. It's hit all of us because no one has experienced what we've been experiencing this past year and a half. And it just kind of came out of the blue, and it turned our lives upside down. So next story would be, what has this past year and a half been like for you with your healthy routine and being a coach and being vulnerable?
That's such a good question. I always tell people that when they're starting out on like a weight loss journey, we'll use that as an example, because that's not all life is about, is losing weight, but that's a good example because that's what I do with people. When you look out to how far you want to go, it can be so scary and so overwhelming, to the point where you think when you get there that you don't have to work anymore. Like we always think, oh, well, when I lose weight, I won't have to check my food anymore. I can do whatever I want. It literally does not work that way. It's about 100 pounds overweight just most of my life. And it's very easy for my body and my mind to go back to where I was. I might look on the surface like, oh, she's a trainer, or she's got it all figured out. That is the furthest thing from the truth. I work just as hard to maintain my health as somebody on a weight loss journey all the time. And it's my choice every day when I get up. How do I want to feel later? And I think that's been what has been so eye-opening about the whole situation in this last year is by about probably October. I live in Washington State, and every year we get a cloud that just moves in and it stays for about 6 months, and it's tough to get sun. It's tough to be active, and you pretty much stay inside the whole time. And I was going through a lot of compassion fatigue with my own clients and people that were struggling in their businesses and with their own health. And I started to just let it get to me and slowly stopped doing little tiny things with my routine. I maybe stopped meal prepping, and then I would stop with my sleep schedule. I would let that slide and stay up late scrolling, reading doom and gloom. And pretty soon I was so far out of my routine that I went to get dressed on a date with my husband and put on my jeans for the first time in forever. And I couldn't even put them on. I'm like, what happened? And I just had a breakdown moment, and I cried, and I sat down, and I journaled about it.
You didn't take the jeans out like these
Oh no, they were stretchy. I was like, I'm good, they'll fit, they're stretchy. Like, no. And he heard me crying in the closet and just having a total meltdown. And so we ended up going out instead for a walk in nature, and we just talked it over. And he's so supportive. He was like, well, why don't we just get back to like our routine and this and that. He knows how to help me see things without telling me what to do. Does that make sense?
That's because men are
good husbands,
such amazing problem solvers by nature. And us women, we like to talk things out. Sometimes you have to tell a man, like, don't try to fix my problems. So it is a delicate dance between the way women handle criticism or suggestions than men.
He's so good at asking me too, like, what do you need from me right now? Do you need me to give you suggestions, or do you need me just to hear you? And I'm like, well, kind of both, but, but it's good to have a partner that gets it. Like my husband's a very fit man, and most people meet him and they're like, oh, you wrestled and you've always been fit. You don't know what it's like to struggle. He has his own struggles and his own ways. And I think it's good to notice that. But long story short, all we did was get back to little tiny things. And we started this back in March, and I'm already back to my healthy weight. I feel great. I feel like I look 10 years younger because I'm sleeping, eating healthy whole foods and resting and putting my phone away and doing all the things that I always tell people to do and wasn't doing. So I have no big secret. It was just a bunch of little tiny things.
It's not like you started some huge program and you did some huge overhaul of your life, because sometimes people think you have to be on a 12-week program, and you do those with clients too. And it sometimes is appropriate, but it's not always the right place. If you have drastic changes like that, like a huge overhaul, it's overwhelming. And what do people end up doing? Nothing. They don't do anything because it's too overwhelming. So I love that you said, like, you started to do simple little things. I have questions that some people sent. So one of them that was really big was the loneliness and how many people have actually reached out to me saying that they were even suicidal during this period of time. Yeah, that was a big one, because you're out of your routine. A lot of people lost their jobs. Some people work from home and don't process well at home. They like going to the office and seeing people. So what would your suggestions be? Like, what would an easy step for somebody who's struggling with the loneliness? What would it be?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just to be okay with feeling that way, because we feel so ashamed when we have those negative feelings sometimes. Like, it's so, oh, you're depressed. You feel like we need to let ourselves feel emotions. So honoring that, first of all, I mean, it sucks, but it's still where you are. So I think just give yourself grace and honor for that. And then the second thing is just to know you're not alone. It feels lonely and it feels like you're alone, but one nice thing about the internet, as much as I complain like an old lady about it all the time, one nice thing is there are communities of people. I mean, I feel like you're one of my closest friends in my life, and through like things like the internet and phones and texting, and just don't be afraid to reach out and admit that vulnerability that, hey, I'm feeling this way, and find people that are there for you, because there's groups, there's support, there's resources. There's even an app called, I think, Better Health, which is something I know about that because it's similar to Noom, and it's counseling, and it's very affordable for people that maybe don't want to go in somewhere, and you literally go and chat with a therapist just to like get your feelings out. Yeah, so it's valid to feel that way this year. It's completely valid.
I like that you said that. I think it's important to validate no matter how somebody's feeling, even if as your friend, if your friend comes to you and says, I'm lonely, or I feel suicidal. If you can't freak out on them, first of all, and make
or
them
try to fix it immediately. Like, oh, well, let's fix it. Let's go do something. Like, you have to be in that space. And
you have to meet people where they're at, take little steps with them. So I think it's important to validate, number one, how somebody's feeling so they don't regret having told you, because especially when it comes to loneliness and the sadness, like I used to be a special needs behavioral therapist. So my first thought, I worried about autistic children immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, like some of them, like they'll only have one friend at school or at therapy or their therapist, and then they can't meet with them now anymore. Like for them, that's devastating. So validating people's feelings is so important, even if you don't have those feelings, because we're all unique individuals, and whatever it is that helps us get back on track, it's going to be a unique thing for every individual.
I think it's important, and now more than ever this last year, I have seen as a culture, we are starting to, I guess, accept and normalize that a little bit more, because so many people are coming forward with feeling that way. And I know this because I don't know if you know this about me, but I lost my brother to suicide, and he had suffered with depression, and this was about several years ago, and it was not the same environment in getting someone help. It was so much more shame with it, and family shame with it. And so I think it's a horrible thing to say that, oh, well, I'm glad that we all bonded over this past year. But in a way that I feel like that's happened this last year. I don't know if you agree, but people sharing that and getting support and reaching out for help when they need it a little more normalized.
I told someone, and this is a vulnerable moment for me, I truly am a nice person, and I generally think nice things about people. I have thought more negative things about people that I don't know, going into a grocery store and someone being mean to me over, the muzzle, all this, or just not understanding how people just go along to get along and nobody sticks up for each other. And I would think things like, what is wrong with people? I never knew that society was so weak. And it brought me down a lot, because I just thought more negatively about people. So I turned it upside down, and I became more compassionate to people. I became a lot more compassionate that person has fear that I don't hold in my heart at all. And I can't understand it. But again, if I go back to, you have to validate people's feelings, you must validate all feelings. Even if the fear, I don't comprehend it.
Yeah.
I need
everyone did
that feeling, because they're a human being and they matter. We might not, jive on things, but I have to respect them as a human. And I got to say that raised my vibration back up to the level that I was at, because I was like, that is bringing me down by processing these thoughts about people, like, why are you so stupid? I never really used to think those things about people. So
it's really tough when it's people close to you in your life too that you really respect and care about, and it's like, oh, you must just want to be like, why don't we agree on this big huge thing? And I think I read a quote, I can't remember who said this, I can't take credit for it, but how everyone is trying to do their best from the level of consciousness and awareness that they are at. Yes. And if you look at everyone in the world with that perspective, it is really freeing and empowering. And it feels a lot better. It's more warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it is way more warm and fuzzy. And it's so true. It's like, you wouldn't expect a kindergartner to know geometry. So it's the same thing. If a kindergartner's only been taught so much information, you're not expecting them to speak 3 different languages and know geometry and this and that you would expect someone at a high level of, university education. So it's the same thing. Not everybody has the same tools in their toolbox. Not everybody was raised the same way. And it is also about boundaries. That was another big thing that I got when I asked this question about people. They say, how do you deal this year with how many people have not agreed with you, stepped out of your life? And again, I think that ties to the loneliness, because a lot of people have lost people or relationships have changed. I think we've all been affected by that. And I said, for me personally, I don't know about you, but the way that I had to do is I totally saved space for people, but I put up a boundary, a healthy boundary.
Yes.
I'm not one to like get in a fight with somebody or say like, you know what, you have this belief system and I can't be friends with you anymore. That's not my thing, because all of us grow and evolve. Your best friend in high school, you change and you guys become different people. You might not have anything in common, but you don't hate them. You save space for the relationship. And if there's ever a time that they need you or want to have a conversation about something, you allow that space to be saved, but have that boundary that that energy might not be something that you need right there. I do think saving space for people is something that we all need to practice more and more these days, because we need to not fall into the narrative of dividing people, because you know, a lot of us are working from home, are not as social, aren't around people as much. I know, like for me, I was just dying to be around people. I was dying to hug people, see people, talk to people. I'd walk up to people. I love your hair, cool shoes. I need to connect with people. I don't want things that divide. So I think that's really important mentally for all of us. And to be on a healthy routine, we need to be emotionally stable, and we need support systems too. So reaching out to your health coach, your best friend that's your number one fan, and letting them know what you're going through. Or if you're saying, hey, I'm going to start this new program to get back on track. I've gained, 10 pounds during this past year. Let your most trusted people know so they can be your cheerleaders. So I think connecting with people is another key to success too, because all great things were not done solo. None. Right. We do things in unity, even if it's just one other person. You don't have to have a million friends and a big fan club, but having people to support you makes a big difference. Okay, so as far as energy level, if your routine has changed and you're spending more time at home, or just things have changed and you're feeling that lull of energy, what did you do to get the energy up? Say when you put your pants on and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get my shit together.
No, I love that question. The honest truth is I just had to make a commitment to myself. And sometimes in life, we have to look at situations and decide which one is harder. Like, define the hard that you want. It is hard to get up in the morning and go for a walk and not look at my phone first thing. It's hard.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to oversleep and wake up groggy and be overweight and feel terrible. So which one is more hard? I had to really bring that perspective into my decisions with everything I did all day. Yeah. Meal prepping. Oh, it's so hard. It takes forever. But what's harder? Thinking late at night, oh crap, I have nothing in the fridge, I'm just going to get takeout, and then feeling terrible the next day. They're both hard. Everything is hard. So I think for me, I just had to really evaluate which hard do I want to deal with. I actually made a list in my journal of, okay, what sucks about where I'm at right now? What's hard about where I want to go? I'm like, well, which one sucks more? Where I was sucked a lot more. And so that's literally what I did. I just got real with myself. So that's what I would recommend to anyone to do. It's going to suck. Like most things that you want to get in life are going to have some level of suck. Yeah. So just be real. What sucks more?
I think that's such a good point. I hate the term brutally honest, because the brutal part sounds like you're being mean. But I have been called brutally honest before, and I just say, no, I'm just honest.
Yeah, keeping it real.
You work as hard to be morbidly obese as you work to get up on stage to compete. It's completely different types of work, but you work hard for everything. Everybody puts, the hand to the mouth to eat. It's just, what is your choice of what you're eating, right? And like you said, waking up groggy and feeling like crap, it's hard to feel emotionally impacted by that, and to feel bad about yourself, and to feel like a loser, and like your day, now you're rushing around. It's difficult, but you made the choice that led to that. So everybody's making choices on a consistent basis, and they're leading us in different directions. It doesn't mean that one is easier than the other. People work just as hard to be unhealthy or to live a party lifestyle and stay out late and have a million friends and not attend to their health as a person who's detoxing their organs and prepping their food. Right. It's just you're putting your energy in different things. So I think that perspective shift is really important, because people work really hard at whatever is important to them. Priorities.
Yeah. And not to make it a negative experience, because one extra thing that I did do that I really love, and I have everybody I meet do this because it's awesome, is if you think about it, when you are practicing the self-care that it takes to feel your best, not doing anything at all, and you think about getting started with all of it, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. So if you pause for a second and you come up with 5 side effects of what happens when you do these things, and I'm not talking about reasons for doing them at all. This is very different. This is side effects. I'll give you one of mine. I know that when I'm practicing self-care and taking care of myself, when I get ready to go on a date, I try on one outfit and I feel sexy as hell and we go out. That's a side effect. And so I wrote those down. I put them on my phone. And so you look at your phone all day. So you're looking at side effects while you're making choices all day.
Awesome.
Like
I love
what
that.
side effects, I mean, it's different for everybody, but those are just little things. Like I can jog without running out of breath, and just focusing on that stuff.
I think that's a great tip, because a lot of time when people come to me and they want to start their program, they talk about the past. Well, when I was young and I was a runner and I did marathons and I used to wear this and I used to feel like that. So if you remind yourself and put that as a daily, if you did it one time, why can't you do it again? That's what I tell people. Like, you're telling me, you're in your mid 40s and you're telling me when you were 30, you were a marathon runner. So why do you think that you can't do that again? Maybe putting those notes and seeing that and reminding, that's you. Don't show me a picture of a celebrity. Please don't do that. Don't show me a picture of a celebrity and say, this is what I want to look like. Show me a picture of you, maybe in the past, when you felt really good and you were healthy and you were doing all the good things for yourself, because then that is completely realistic, because you did it one time and you can do it again. Also, I know we talked about one more tip that I think is so important that you had mentioned to me when we were messaging, was about going to bed, not sitting scrolling on your phone, last thing that you do before you go to bed, and putting your phone outside of your room. I love that tip for many reasons, not just that you have to physically get up and walk to your alarm so you're not just snoozing. The EMFs too, you don't want to be sitting with the radio
for sure
in your head. But do you do that every night?
I say 90% of the time. I'm always on my husband too, because sometimes he's like setting an alarm or doing something, looking at his Whoop data because he wears a Whoop tracker, and like doing stuff in his phone. And I'm always like, turn that off. You're messing with your serotonin. And so in the perfect world, what I would like to do is get an old school alarm clock, like the little digital ones we all had in the 90s, and just use that. I mean, I used it before. Why can't it work now? But I don't wake up with an alarm clock because I have my sleep cycle so regulated that I go to bed and get up at the same time. And we have a puppy, and she sleeps 8 hours like clockwork. So as long as she's a big part of my routine. I put her in her crate, and I know 8 hours later she's going to start rustling, and that's why I get up. So I'm lucky that I don't need an alarm clock.
I feel like that's a huge part. And even like for me, I additionally, when I wake up, I make my bed immediately. And
that's awesome.
I didn't learn this from him, but there was, I don't remember if he was a Navy officer or somebody, but it was a guy that was in the military, and he was giving a speech during a graduation saying that all successful people make their bed. And I was like, that is so true. Wake up, make your bed, because it's a sign of respect too. And you're taking care of, you're making sure that your bed, the first thing that you exit in the morning, is not a mess. And you just start your day. I'm a big routine person in the morning. Like, I do my oil pulling, my ozone treatment, and I have my things that I do before I go to the gym. I used to just wake up, go to the gym. That was my routine, which was great. But my routine shifted a little bit, and I do things for me in the morning. Because this last year changed a lot. My job changed. The hours that I was going to work changed. So I had some more time, and I noticed like giving that time to myself in the morning, like honoring myself with healthy habits, really was beneficial for me. And I would look forward to getting up, especially to do my ozone treatment.
That's cool. There's a really great book called The Perfect Day Formula. I think it's by Craig Valentine. I know him through our old business coaching. It talks about how it's similar to the miracle morning idea, but how taking the morning to do all those important things, even though they're small, that like making your bed, because how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
If you don't make your bed, your kitchen's a mess, your car's probably a mess too, and your workout schedule's probably all over the place, and you probably don't have any routine in your life. So it's like the making the bed thing is huge. I love it.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, awesome. I love all these tips. And you know what? They're simple things. And that's what I like the best about it, is it's nothing drastic. Like, you have to buy this program and you have to do this. We didn't even talk about getting a gym membership or anything. It's just the little things that, to me, they're all like sign of self-respect. When you have that self-respect and you're building those little habits. So thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh, of course.
Perfect usable tips that anybody can do to just get back on track, get back to a good healthy routine, but hopefully even a better one than you had before, because change is good. It's hard in the beginning, but it ends up being a good thing.
It is. And if you think about it, if you can provide stellar rockstar self-care for yourself during what's going on right now in the world, nothing's going to throw you off. Like you have to be able to do this stuff because life will always be like all over the place and crazy. And the worst thing that you can say is, well, I'm going to wait till everything settles down, or I'm going to wait till I'm not busy anymore. You're going to wait forever. So
Yeah.
find one little thing and start there. That's literally the best advice that I have.
Well, thank you so much. And you radiate such positivity.
Oh, so do you. That's how we're friends.
I love it.